Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the risers and fallers of 2022 fantasy football drafts, as well as in best ball drafts. But before we can get on into the breakdown first of the risers, then into the fallers of drafts right now, I would like to ask that if you are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help us out a ton. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, please do so at Notorious FNTSY. So without further ado, let's get into a breakdown of my risers and fallers of current 2022 fantasy football and best ball drafts. Now, the ADP used in today's video comes from our sponsor, Underdog, and from their Superflex contest. So the ADP is from Superflex contest. The first player we're going to be talking about is a quarterback. So his ADP is significantly higher due to the fact that quarterbacks are in very high demand in a Superflex format compared to a regular one quarterback draft. Though, I think that where he sits in his ADP for just the quarterback position is going to be exactly the same when you compare a normal one quarterback draft to a super flex draft. So Tua Tagovailoa is going to be my first riser of the Miami Dolphins. His ADP is currently overall pick 33.4, and it was previously pick 38.3, and he is currently coming off the board as quarterback number 18. I think in a normal one quarterback best ball or redraft draft, he's probably going to be going in at least 10th round or plus, right? He's probably going to go in like the 12th, 13th, maybe even the 14th round of a lot of drafts. After people already snagged their first quarterback, they might look to pick up Tua Tagovailoa. So in 2021, Tua Tagovailoa played in 13 games, finishing as the quarterback number 25 and finishing as the quarterback number 23 in points per game, tied with Jared Goff and Taylor Heineke. He had 388 passing attempts, 29.8 per game, ranking 27th at the quarterback position, 2,653 passing yards, 204.1 per game, ranking 27th at quarterback, a 67.8% completion percentage, 16 passing touchdowns, 23rd at quarterback, 10 interceptions, and 42 carries for 128 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. So, in Tua's first 2 seasons in the NFL, in 2021 and 2020, to me, Tua hasn't been fantastic. On paper, Tua looks below average, right? He was drafted super high in the 2020 NFL draft, and he has not, based upon what we have seen in his first 2 years, lived up to the hype. And prior to him getting hurt in the 2019 NCAA football season, the hype for Tua Tagovailoa was very high. There was talks of the Dolphins tanking for Tua, teams tanking for Tua, that this guy is going to be legitimate at the next level and potentially be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And that has yet to happen. But we have seen Tua with a not so hot offensive cast around him, with a head coach that clearly didn't believe in him in Brian Flores, and with not the greatest offensive minds around him. Brian Flores was a defensive-minded head coach who clearly, in my opinion, didn't get along with Tua. So Tua was in a pretty shitty situation for the first 2 years of his NFL career. Last year, prior to him getting hurt, he was the clear quarterback 1 on the team, and then we're seeing Jacoby Brissett. But then, obviously, Tua Tagovailoa does eventually take back over as the lead signal caller on the team. So Tua has had some ups and downs in his career. He has had some solid games. He's had some games where people make fun of him, like up against the Tennessee Titans, where it looked like he had no fucking idea what he is doing. But at the end of the day, while you want to look at the stats from last year, from 2020 as well, I'm going to brush them off to the side. Because my personal belief as to why I think that Tua Tagovailoa is a riser right now, based upon his ADP movement, is because of the fact that Tyreek Hill is there. But I think that now that Tyreek Hill is there, now that Mike McDaniel is the head coach, there are no excuses for Tua Tagovailoa. If this guy has a shitty 2022 campaign, that likely means that his job as a starter on the Dolphins and his job as a starter in the National Football League is in jeopardy. If he does not succeed with this Miami Dolphins team, if he does not take them to over 9.5 wins, getting 10 plus wins to the playoffs, I genuinely believe that the rope will be cut off of Tua Tagovailoa and that it's going to be done. He will not be the Dolphins starting quarterback, and in 2023, when they have multiple first-round picks, they will draft a quarterback. But in 2022, all of the pieces have aligned for Tua to have a great year. They get the new offensive-minded head coach, this sharp head coach in Mike McDaniel. They bring in Tyreek Hill. They shore up the offensive line. Is their offensive line amazing now? No, but it's way better than what it was in the prior 2 seasons. So a better offensive line. They bring in what might be the best wide receiver in the NFL in Tyreek Hill. They have Jalen Waddle. They have the new head coach. So everything is aligning for Tua. So if he does not succeed, then things are going to be bad for Tua. Everything, like I said, has aligned. So I am fine taking Tua as quarterback 18 off of the board. I am fine taking him at ADP 33.4 in a Superflex draft. I am excited about Tua Tagovailoa. Am I going to rank him inside the top 12? No. If you check out yesterday's top 12 quarterback video, he's not in there. But could he easily finish as a top 14 quarterback with all of the pieces around him? I believe so. So Tua Tagovailoa was the first riser of today's video. The second one is going to be Sammy Watkins, formerly of the Baltimore Ravens and formerly of a million other teams. Now he has signed with the Green Bay Packers. And that signing with the Packers is why his ADP has risen so high, going from pick 241 previously to pick 190.8, currently coming off the board as wide receiver number 75. Now, they legitimately don't have any wide receivers that have name value in 2022. They've got Sammy Watkins, they've got Allen Lazard, they've got Randall Cobb. If they do not draft a wide receiver in the first round after getting rid of Devontae Adams, they might as well have metaphorically kicked Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Discount Double Check, directly in the cock. They just did, because it doesn't even seem like they're looking at Deebo Samuel. If they get Deebo Samuel, then Aaron Rodgers will be just fine. I think Aaron Rodgers will be just fine normally, but they really don't have a clear, set-in-stone number 1 wide receiver in Green Bay. Now, Sammy Watkins in 2021 played in 13 games, finishes the wide receiver 101.5 PPR and the wide receiver 102.5 PPR points per game. He had 49 targets on the season, 3.8 per game, finishing 92nd at wide receiver, 27 receptions, 2.1 per game, 97th, 394 receiving yards, 30.3 per game, 88th, and 1 total touchdown, 108th at the wide receiver position. So Sammy Watkins, despite being a guy when he was drafted that was highly touted, he hasn't really done it at the NFL level. Green Bay is certainly, based upon the situation, an amazing landing spot for Sammy Watkins. So there is reason why his ADP shoots up because of the situation he is in. Is he worth pick 190.8? Potentially, because the upside is there. But I'm not going to be banging the drum for Sammy Watkins if his ADP keeps rising. There is no reason to believe that he is just magically going to become, in Green Bay, this great wide receiver. I don't think that. But when we're talking in terms of best ball, when you draft Sammy Watkins, you're hoping for 2-3 good games. And that is possible in Green Bay, which is why I'm not going to dismiss Sammy Watkins. But in a normal redraft fantasy football league, I would not touch Sammy Watkins with a 10-foot fucking pole, because there is no way to ever know when you are going to actually want to start Sammy Watkins on your team. So with that said, in best ball, I'm fine taking the shot on Sammy Watkins, but a redraft, he should not even come close to your team. You should push him away from afar. Next up, we move to AJ Green, wide receiver of the Arizona Cardinals. But before we break down AJ Green, I'd like to give you guys a quick word from our friends and our sponsor over at Underdog Fantasy. They are known for their NFL best ball tournaments. However, Underdog does not stop there. Underdog has plenty of other contests for you to compete in, including live draft contests and pick'ems, in which you can net up to 20 times your entry fee. Use promo code Awesemo, AWESEMO, or click on the link in the video description, or just type it in. It's on your screen right now again. Promo code Awesemo to get a first match deposit bonus of up to $100. Please make sure that you guys do get started on Underdog Fantasy today. So back on into it. AJ Green, wide receiver of the Arizona Cardinals, is the final riser of today's video. ADP overall 218.6, was previously 234.9. Now, if we're talking, you're at pick 200. Sammy Watkins is available, as is AJ Green. I am taking AJ Green every single fucking time and twice on Sunday. Do I think AJ Green is still the AJ Green from a couple of years ago in Cincinnati, who you could legitimately have made the argument that he was the best wide receiver in the NFL? Fuck no. No, I don't think that. But what I do think is that in Arizona, he is still on paper the number 2 receiver on the team. 2021, 16 games played, wide receiver 41.5 PPR, 52.5 PPR points per game, 92 targets, 5.8 per game, 40th at wide receiver, 54 receptions, 3.4 per game, 42nd, 848 receiving yards, 53.0 per game, 32nd at wide receiver, and 3 total touchdowns, number 61 at wide receiver. I do not expect AJ Green to return to that former glory. I don't think he has it in him. But what I do think he has in him is higher than wide receiver 86 finish on the season and multiple top 24 games next season. I think that with DeAndre Hopkins healthy for the whole season, if possible, that would immensely help out AJ Green. AJ Green did not just sprout up as this alpha guy on the team when DeAndre Hopkins was hurt. He just didn't. He was not that guy. He is not that guy of the past. But what he could be is the number 2 receiving piece on the Cardinals. Nick, you might want to say that he's the number 3 receiving option there because they have Mr. Zach Ertz, and that's okay as well. You can say that as well. But in terms of wide receivers on the team, he's number 2. Could they draft another wide receiver? Yes. Yes. Which is why I'm not screaming to the mountaintops that Sammy Watkins is a must-draft, or not that Sammy Watkins, that AJ Green is a must-draft player, because he's not. But with the position we're in right now, prior to the 2022 NFL Draft, AJ Green is viable in fantasy football. I'm not going to bang the drum for a top 32 finish. I'm just not. But I wouldn't be surprised if he got close to that, because the situation he is in is fucking fantastic. Kyler Murray, while it seems like he's holding out and all, seems to want to be with the team. It's not like he's just going to sit out a bunch of games. I think everything is going to be resolved, and he's going to be the starting quarterback of the team. AJ Green is not amazing, but he's just good enough to where wide receiver 86 is immensely disrespectful. Next up, we move into the faller category, headlined by Rob Gronkowski, tight end of the no team. He's a free agent. ADP overall, pick 123.6, was previously 118.4. Coming off the board is tight end number 11. And I think that the more time that Rob Gronkowski is not on the Bucs, he is not signed with the team, the more he is going to continue to fall down the draft. If Gronk was on the team right now, you better believe his ADP would be higher than tight end number 11. He'd probably be tight end 8, right? But even tight end 8 is disrespectful to Gronk. When this motherfucker is healthy, he is a top 5 tight end in fantasy football. Top 5. 2021, plays just 12 games, finishes as tight end number 5 in half PPR, tied with Zach Ertz, and the tight end number 3 in half PPR points per game. And Zach Ertz played every single fucking game, and he was tied with Gronk. 89 targets, 7.4 per game, 11th. 55 receptions, 4.6 per game, 15th. 802 receiving yards, 66.8 per game, 7th, and 6 total touchdowns, 7th at tight end. I understand that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is loaded. It is loaded. They have so many pieces on their offense. They got Evans. They got Godwin. They got Leonard Fournette. They got Gronk. Assuming Gronk comes back. This is all assuming Gronk comes back. My point of view right now is that Rob Gronkowski is going to come back. What he's probably doing is trying to avoid any of this bullshit in the summer. Anything that he could possibly have to do extra besides just playing the game of football, he is going to avoid. I wouldn't be surprised if he was not signed with the Bucs until the middle of August. But I genuinely believe they wouldn't have gotten rid of O.J. Howard, done all these things, if Gronk was just going to be gone. I believe Tom Brady could call up Gronk at any second and be like, hey, Gronky baby, come back. And I heard, the reason why I said baby is because I heard Tom Brady calls guys babe all the time. Like Edelman said that. So he's like, hey, babe, Gronk, come on over here. Come back to old Tommy, and let's win a Super Bowl. That's what he's got to do. He's going to do that, and then boom, Gronk's going to be back. I have no reason to believe that Gronk is just going to retire. And again, the longer you wait on this, the longer Gronk waits to sign that paper to John Hancock on the contract, then the farther he's going to keep falling. He's on a free fall right now. He is. I like the value at tight end 11. A few weeks, he might be tight end 15. Keep on falling. And I'm going to keep hitting the fucking draft button on Underdog. I'm just going to. I really believe he's going to play. Now, could this bite me in the ass and he could have just retire 100%? but my personal belief is that he will be back in Tampa in 2022. Final wide receiver to discuss, another player that is not even on a team right now, wide receiver William Fuller of the, no, not even a team. ADP overall 160.3, was previously 168.3, wide receiver 62. I believe most teams are waiting to see what happens in the draft before they sign Will Fuller. 2021 stats, only plays in 2 games for the Dolphins, 8 targets, 4 receptions, 26 yards, 0 touchdowns. As a Dolphins fan, I was excited for Will Fuller. We have Devontae Parker, Jalen Waddle, Will Fuller. Sounds great to me. Not the best receiving core in the NFL. Sounds good. I think Tua's going to be fine with them. Will Fuller hurts his finger, and he's out for the fucking season. He's out for the fucking season because of his finger. What I think happened is that he believed Watson was coming, so he signed with the team. Obviously, Watson never shows up. So Will Fuller says, I'm out. I'm out. Doesn't come back. I think he could have played last year. It is what it is. The Dolphins got robbed of $10+ million, I'm pretty sure. Sucks as a Dolphins fan, but it is what it is. 2020, you look at his stats, 11 games played prior to his suspension for performance-enhancing drugs. Wide receiver, 28.5 PPR wide receiver, 5 in points per game. Tied with A.J. Brown. 75 targets, 6.8 per game, 0.1 off of being very nice with 69, or 6.9. 59 at wide receiver, 53 receptions, 48 at wide receiver, 4.8 per game, 879 receiving yards, 79.9 per game, 28th at wide receiver, and 8 total touchdowns, 12th at wide receiver. So when healthy, we know the immense amount of value that Will Fuller has. He's not on a team right now. The injury does concern me somewhat, because why else would he sit out that long? Unless that Watson thing that I just brought up is true, because that could easily be true. I don't know, though. I'm not with the team. I'm not Will Fuller's agent. I don't fucking know. But what I do know is that when healthy, Will Fuller has game-breaking potential. There are a couple of wide receivers in the NFL who genuinely could be game breakers for fantasy football. I'm talking about a wide receiver that hangs 175 yards and 2 tugs on your ass, 2 touchdowns. There are only a couple of receivers that can do that. In my book, Will Fuller is one of them. So I like Will Fuller. I'm drafting him here. Don't know what team he's going to be on. It could bite me in the ass again. But wide receiver 62, you might as well take the shot on Will Fuller because of the immense amount of upside that he brings to your fantasy team. So thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did end up enjoying, make sure to hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. Make sure you guys check out Underdog Fantasy, promo code Awesemo for up to a $100 first match deposit bonus, or just go ahead and click the link in the video description. Next week on Thursday during the 2022 NFL Draft, me, Matt Savoca, potentially some other guests, will be live on the Awesemo DFS YouTube channel. Please watch. It's going to be fun. I do a stream every year. Please watch. It is very, very fun. So I love you guys all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, guys, good boy.